What's going on? So what we basically gonna do is we just gonna cut right to the chase. Like the Black Hebrew Israelite cult, they're liars. They tell lies. They twist and manipulate the Bible, and they contort it in order to fit their narrative. Well, today I'm going to be debunking one of the biggest lies that they tell and prove that blacks, in fact, do not fit the category of the curses. That's number one. But number two, and priority first and foremost, I'm going to read this scripture because I think that it just so wonderfully applies to the situation at hand. And Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Now, listen to that. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Now, with that being said, I'm going to prove that the verses in Deuteronomy actually don't apply to black people. First and foremost, the argument is that African American slaves or the African Americans, the indigenous people of today's in the Americas are actually Israelites is because the transatlantic slave trade was a prediction of one of the curses, right? Well, here's why that doesn't align. First and foremost, we have to put our thinking caps on, right? So before we even get into just why it's biblically incorrect, first of all, we have to actually look at logically why they're wrong. Okay. So first and foremost, what does it say in Deuteronomy chapter 20? What does it say? What does it say in and this is the actual Hebrew English or the King James version. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68, the scripture that they love to quote. And it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Okay, so first and foremost, right? African Americans were not sent to Egypt. Okay, that's 100% fact. African Americans, or the people, the Africans that were the black people that were sent over on slave ships, they were not sent to Egypt. No, they were sent to white people who then Europeans who then dispersed them to everywhere else in the world. So that's what I'm saying. So first and foremost, that's number one. Number two, Egypt is not America. So you can't pick and choose when the Bible is figurative and when it's not. No, it said you will be delivered into Egypt. There's no evidence to support that Egypt is a figurative expression for bondage. There's no evidence to support that. Okay? So it says, "You shall be sold unto your enemies for bondsmen and bondswomen, and no man shall buy you." Okay. Last I checked, people bought African American slaves. That's 100% fact. People bought African American slaves. Now, let's actually address some of these actual arguments that they have, right? The, the argument that when they refer to buying in Deuteronomy chapter 8, right? When they refer to buying, they claim that it is figurative for, or it is representation of the cultural aspect of Jewish culture or Jewish society where, and if someone was enslaved to another slave, they could be bought by another Israelite or whatever like that. You know what I mean? It's basically it's a custom of the people to where, you know, it's called a redeemer, the family redeemer. But there's also it's more complicated than that. I'm explaining it bad, but basically it's like where if someone were to say, you know, like to marry someone, and then, you know what I mean, that person would have become enslaved, you could redeem them and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I'm explaining it bad, but basically, like I said, I'm not here to like educate y'all in depth about Jewish culture, because guess what? It's better if you do it for yourself instead of listening to somebody else try to tell you everything. That's my problem with the Hebrew Israelites, if you haven't noticed by now. But anyway, like I said, go look it up for yourself. It's a really simple concept to understand. You know what? Forget it. Forget it. Let's just go ahead and look it up. Let's just go ahead. The Jewish Redeemer. Okay. Okay. So, and now for all you stupid people who think that looking something up is a insult or something like that, no, it's what it's for. Google is free, and it's better to sit there and look up information instead of just relying on what somebody tells you, right? So, in the Hebrew Bible, and rabbinical tradition, the the Goel, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but basically the Redeemer is a close relative who is responsible for restoring a person's rights and avenging wrongs. This could include redeeming a relative's property or person if they were in debt or helpless, or avenging the blood of a murdered relative. The word goal is Hebrew for redeemer. Okay? 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 So, like, let's just go there. So, what is the word that's actually used there, right? We know that the word markar was used as to is the Hebrew word. This is the Hebrew word to sell, right? So, I went looked it up. You know what? You go to the link, open it up. Markar, this word, it means to sell. To sell, seller, participate. What is it? What does this mean? To be sold, to sell oneself, to be given over to sell oneself. Okay, it's a primitive root word. Okay, why is this important? Why is this important? Because guess what? This BibleStudiesTools.com tells you the verse count. It tells you the verse count. So guess what? You can click on this and see what it meant when it says this word was used in this context, right? Guess what? Deuteronomy chapter 28:68. The verse everybody loves to use, right? So guess what? You go down here, the Lord will bring you back to Egypt in ships by the way about which I spoke to you. You will never see it again, and there you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer. So we know that markar is the word used in this context. So we know that they're talking about a transaction. They're talking about an actual transaction. Why is this important, guys? Because, Like I said, we're not talking about something metaphorical here. We're talking about an actual transaction. So, we know that the Jews will be physically sold, okay? We know that they'll be physically sold. You see that? They'll be physically sold. You see that? That word kana means to get, acquire, create, buy, possess. Okay? To get, acquire, buy, possess of God, originating, creating, redeeming his people, of Eve acquiring, of acquiring knowledge, wisdom, to buy, to be bought, to cause, to possess. It means to come into possession of something. Okay? You go down here, go down to the word count. Guess what? I mean, the verse count. Guess what? Where was it used? Oh, snap. Oh, snap. It was used in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Again. So guess what? The Lord shall bring you back to Egypt in ships, by which about I spoke to you. You will never see it again, and there you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer. In context, there's a transaction going on, right? In context, there's a transaction going on. Just to dispel the myth that this is referring to that this is referring to the practice of redeeming fellow Israelites. Guess what? The word gall is the word used is the Hebrew word for redeemed, right? In context, right? In context. Go to this link. Guess what? You pull that up too. Oh, to redeem, act as a kinsman, redeemer, avenge, revenge, ransom, do the part of a kinsman. To act as a kinsman, do the part of next of kin, act as a kinsman redeemer. By marrying a brother's widow to beget a child for him, to redeem from slavery, to redeem land, to exact vengeance. Individuals, Israel from Egyptian bondage, Israel from exile. Okay? These are all the instances of this word being used, right? So guess what? Where's that word used, right? You go down to the verse count. Guess what? Deuteronomy. Okay, cool. But, oh, snap. It's not there. Wait a minute. That word wasn't. Oh, wait a minute. No. It's got to be a mistake, right? Let's try gold. No, not. Let's try. What was it? Let's try. Uh-oh. Couldn't find anything. Uh-oh. Gone. It looks like it was gone. So I'm just saying, like, guys, Google is free. Research is free. These people aren't previewed to some special type of knowledge. These people are sick in the head, and they're manipulating and twisting the Bible in order to basically control and basically assert some type of dominance and supremacy over other people. And look, you can say that white people did it, but guess what? We call them out. So why is it any different when black people do it? No, these people are a cult and they're liars. They're lying. They're lying. They're wrong. It's the truth.